requirements. Shit, and Anishinaabe, Cree, OJ Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and the Métis Nation. We're moving on to item 3, adopting agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Dowsett, Councillor Blaze. Be it resolved that the March 25th, 2025 agenda be hereby adopted. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 4, adoption of the minutes. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of March 11th, 2025 be hereby adopted, all statutory requirements having been fulfilled. I guess I need a mover in a second. Councillor Dowsett, Councillor Taylor. Any discussion?
On that meeting, it was suggested that the solid waste people were American, but they are out of sewers. And so I just wanted to.
Thank you. Yes.
No, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Down lettering.
Yeah. Nope.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We do not have any delegations. We do not have a public hearing. So we'll move on to bylaws. Item 7.1. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Landry, Councillor Marks. Whereas section 232-2 of the Municipal Act states a municipality may in a bylaw establish fees or other charges for services, activities, or things provided or done by the municipality. Therefore, it be resolved that the bylaw number 2613 annual schedule of fees be read a first time. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 7.2, that bylaw number 2613 annual schedule of fees be read a second time. I need a mover and a seconder. Keep forgetting that. Councillor Dowsett, Councillor Blaze. Discussion. Councillor Dowsett.
These are just a repeat from before.
Yes, most of the fees in this bylaw are taken from other bylaws, so they'll eventually be removed when we make amendments to other bylaws, and they'll stay in a fee schedule.
Okay.
And then the garbage services are on this fee schedule.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 7-3. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Taylor, Councillor Marks. Whereas the province of Manitoba enacted the Municipal Bylaw Enforcement Act effective January 1st, 2022. And whereas the Municipal Bylaw Enforcement Act section 3.1 provides that a municipality may, in accordance with this act, require administrative penalties to be paid in respect of the contravention of this bylaw. Therefore, be it resolved that bylaw number 2614 compliance bylaw be read a first time. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Dowsett, Councillor Taylor, that bylaw number 20 compliance bylaw be read a second time. Discussion. Councillor Landry.
Under section or part 3, item number 4, I guess. It refers to schedule A for a fee schedule. Are the fees in this bylaw being referred to in the fees of the other bylaw that we just reviewed?
No,
Is there a reason for that?
yes, because these are penalties applied that don't have to go through provincial court.
Okay.
Like the Provincial Offences Act. So administration can write these fees and fines.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So for example, on animal control, first, second, and third offense. Is that referring to specific parts of the animal control bylaw that we can find them between, like, oh, so on third offense, for example, minimum 250, maximum 1,000? but we have a schedule of fees based on that bylaw for contraventions of that bylaw, correct?
You do, but you don't have contraventions of messy yards due to dog feces in that bylaw.
Okay.
So they can be fined through this, they can be fined for, uh,
So this is
barking, sorry, and
fines for contravening the bylaw that aren't specifically written in the schedule?
yes.
Okay.
Counselor,
But there, yeah, no, to your question, first offense, second and third offense of animal control penalties. And I think it's the exact same wording in the other one. And where one is a variable amount, it's a fixed amount in the fee schedule. So. So,
just looking it up right now.
yeah,
Oh, I see, it's first, second, third.
yeah.
So those would be amended to be taken out of the fee schedule and left in the compliance. Administration can charge easier under compliance than the fee schedule.
Okay.
Yes, sorry, I didn't know what you meant.
Landry?
Schedule A also refers to policy GG-05.
Mhm.
I am unable to find in the public viewing a policy titled GG-05.
Okay,
Would I be able to request that administration post somewhere on the website that's easily searchable with Google the policy GG-05?
we can add it to the website. I'm unsure on how to make it easily.
If you put it on the website, it'll find it,
Okay,
so,
I don't know if there's something else you had to do to make it.
no, it'll find it.
Find it. Okay,
But yes, if there was an easy way to find policy GG-05, that would be.
Any other questions?
What are the offenses?
Haven't found that on your computer yet, Frank?
He's right there, except for the GG-000GG. That's not there.
be general government.
It doesn't specify.
Back to search. Okay.
Also bylaw number 2550 for fire services
Mhm.
is not on the website under bylaws and policies.
Under what?
There's a lot.
Bylaw and policies.
1909 is not there. 2562 is labeled 2562C.
Okay, I will make sure that they are put on the website and policies, so, yeah, I'll have administration. One of the clerks do that.
And the note on fire services referring to persons who hinder or obstructs the authority having jurisdiction, is that the only thing we're finding them under that 2550?
Mhm.
So Daniel will review those policies and get them posted, and any bylaws that are referring to what we were talking about today.
So he's asking for clarity on the offenses then. Is that what I'm hearing? I'm just trying to understand.
Wanting the bylaws posted on the website.
If
Okay.
the bylaws are being referred to in this, the bylaws should be readily available for anybody to look at.
And you can't find him in the,
Correct.
okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, thank you.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're moving on to item 8, correspondence. There are 2 items, the Legion crosswalk request and the RCMP occurrence stats. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Counselor Dowsett, Counselor Marks, That the following correspondence be reviewed, Legion crosswalk request, RCMP occurrence stats. Discussion?
We're talking about the Legion later on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. New business. Item, we have no old business, so new business 10.1. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Counselor Joseph. Counselor Taylor. That resolution number 2025-048, solid waste collection and disposal be brought back to the table. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 10.2. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Counselor Landry?
Can I just
Yes.
have a quick comment first? Item 10.2 looks like the old 2025-48.
Mhm.
So are we going to that or are we reading the amendment in 10.3?
Well, there's an amendment there. I rewrote it because there was some miscommunications on how that one was previously written. So I wrote an amendment if council chooses to want the amendment. The solid waste 2025-048 already have a mover and a seconder.
Oh, sorry.
That's how it got tabled.
Okay,
So I have an amendment to that. If council,
So then we need to get a mover and a seconder on the amendment.
yes.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder for them? Counselor Dowsett. Counselor Landry. Whereas the town currently manages internally the collecting and disposal of commercial and household solid waste. And whereas council had been considering alternative options for same. Therefore, be it resolved that the council award the commercial and household solid waste collection and disposal to MWM Environmental for a 5-year term. And further be it resolved that administration be authorized to sign and execute the contract. Discussion. Counselor Dowsett.
Was there any leeway about the pricing, or was that, so that's exactly what, so we couldn't go 3,335 or nothing? Okay.
Okay, and the garbage bins are not ours.
Correct.
In other words, if we decide to go in a different direction in 5 years' time and buy our own garbage, then we're still on the hook for. Buying garbage bins, and if we wanted to go that route and do that type of thing. Which also brings me to, I thought, the 5 years. And us locking it in for 5 years wasn't the fact that we were getting a 5-year contract. The 5-year contract was, my understanding was that because it was 5 years long, we were going to be paying for, that's how they were going to charge us for the garbage bins. So I thought they were gonna be ours at the end of 5 years.
Right, so
But
my,
if they're not ours, what's the reasoning for having to be locked into a 5-year deal?
it's the capital contribution that they have to make in order to provide the service. So they're still not recouping fully any cost for the bins in the 5-year contract year. From what was explained to me, it would take 10 years to recoup those costs.
Why do they have to recoup the cost when they wanna recoup the cost because they are leaving them here? If they wanted to recoup, if they're taking them with them, they've already recouped the cost because they've taken them with them. I'm sorry, thinking that, so I'm not trying to be,
Counselor Martin.
Best guess of the cost of one of those bins.
I'm sorry?
I said best guess of the cost of one of those bins is $175 minimum. So at 1,000 rolls, they're looking at spending $175,000. At that time, after 5 years, if they still put out that money and they've got bins that they may or may not be able to use. That's
Right,
their
but they can take their bins and go and do another one for, like, there's no saying that we're getting new bins. It's not like they're buying new bins for us. Cause they could be just using old bins from somewhere else also.
We'll be getting new bins from my understanding, and then those bins in that 5-year contract, if they're damaged and they replace them at their cost, there's no cost to.
They only replaced
Residents.
10, I thought it was.
No, and
Eight?
repairs,
I mean,
no, and repairs.
and we have wheels and stuff like that.
Yes, at no cost to the homeowner.
Right. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Counselor Nelson.
Just the sidebar, Portia Purdy went, and signed a contract. And it seemed to be very happy at this point. Just a statement.
Any other discussion? Counselor,
Okay, I'm gonna bring this up, and I know I've discussed this before with others. But we have, just for simplicity, in our 2022 budget, if it's garbage town pickup, the cost is $235,700, which includes an $80,000 tipping fee. Their fees to us, in which they quoted us, is $261,000, $384.34. So if, and so this is what we get sold on, is the fact that it's only $25,000 more. But nowhere are they quoting a tipping fee of $80,000.
We gotta pay the extra.
Pardon me?
See, we're gonna pay the extra tipping fees.
You're gonna pay the tipping
Oh,
fee?
yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna pay the
that's what I'm
tipping
saying.
fees. And
So it's,
going to
their
service.
estimate of 261 does not include tipping fees.
Exactly.
So in other words, now you're at $341,000
It'll be
as
more.
opposed to $235,000, which gives us a difference of $115,000. I know I've discussed this before. And, there's also the additional employee. There's an additional employee added in there of $57,000 on top of that. Like it just, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the savings yet still. Yeah, and I'm not seeing the benefits if I'm not getting the bins out of it in the long run, in the end.
Counselor Landry?
Does your value, the 200, whatever you stated for the town to do it, does that include?
For the
cost?
town,
Yeah,
two
does
hundred
that-
35.7, yeah.
but does that include the cost of the garbage truck?
That does not include the cost of the garbage truck, that includes repairs to the garbage truck.
Yeah, so I think that's the one thing that we're failing to
Yeah.
account for on that is
Okay,
capital costs with garbage truck at 100, probably if you figure over 7 years amortization. Like $400,000 to $500,000 for a truck over 7 years. You're probably looking at that 80,000, so the numbers look quite a bit more similar when you start.
yeah, and I'm also pointing out 115 plus 57, so I'm looking at close to $170,000 a year. Which brings us down to, we're doing it for less than $100,000.
But we also don't have the money to buy a garbage truck.
So just because we can't buy a garbage truck this year. We're going to spend an extra $140,000 a year
5 years.
for 5 years. And I'm just gonna leave it at that then.
Any other discussion? Just I had just a couple things, it's in part of my report, but I'll mention it now. At the Evergreen meeting that I attended on Monday,
Oh, right.
I asked
Thank
about, the impact of hauling to Souris. And it would be a 15 to 20% reduction in revenue to Evergreen. The other component to that, when it was not a motion, it was just a discussion, is that if Minnedosa decide to start hauling their garbage to Souris. Right now, what they told me at the meeting, and I just going over what they said. Right now, the recycling is being hauled to Evergreen, and there is actually a recycling cost that Evergreen is encountering because they can't sell everything. That is being absorbed into the garbage cost, so they're not adding that extra recycling fee on to passing it on. It's being, because you're taking garbage there, we're not charging for recycling. If we move to Souris, then they may, no resolution, will start charging us for take our recycling there and drop it off. The other component is that they have a list of communities, other RMs that would like to start hauling their garbage to Evergreen. If we opt out, we may have difficulty getting back in. And when the Evergreen was established, the town did put some money forward to establish Evergreen. Can't find out, nobody seems to know what that amount was, but there was a fund. So I did ask Danielle, about hauling to service, and I, correct me if I'm wrong, but there would be no additional cost for them to haul it to Evergreen. So in my opinion, they would still haul to Evergreen because they have contracts at Elton. So they could probably rejig their schedule to pick up bins and stuff on route. Now, there might have been some savings if they hauled it to service, but we don't know what those savings would be. So anyways, that's just my conversation with Evergreen regarding the whole garbage. Counselor,
I think, did we not, I just said about hauling to sewers was, we could. It was never said that we'd go away from Evergreen. So I kind of
Yeah, they
think
just
that,
mentioned we could do that, if that was something, and they would lock it in for a set price for, I think, the 5 years, or tell us what the price would be for the 5 years. They would let us know.
but we haven't had that conversation.
not officially, no,
Yeah.
but I think they would prefer to take it to their, if they have it,
They
their
want to
brothers, because they have it sold their own, yeah. Their own cycle.
Okay,
Well,
I missed that.
I mean, regardless, we'd still be dumping some at Evergreen. What percentage is not, of our complete tipping fees is not, from the trucks?
Based on,
The calculating sheet that you had of third parties.
Right,
it's,
so there is still tipping fees.
Oh,
yeah, there is 35,000. Based on 2024, 35,000.
As opposed to 80.
Right, that's correct. So I'm just gonna put my, because I've been
All over.
all over the mountain, yes. So, yeah. There is tipping fees in or in, waste management proposal here, and it is, right, you know, I put it at about $100,000 it's gonna cost the town. To have it go to a contract. There is, which is an added cost, but having said that, if we keep the number of employees the same, we have 3 full days of garbage. So that's about 48 hours of employees that would per week that would end up having to do could do other things in town, so which is a cost savings to a certain degree, or not an additional cost, which if we went to our own garbage truck buying it, there has been that request. I like the idea of moving it off our plate and simplifying it, but there is a cost. There's no question about that. The only answer that I haven't heard yet is if we need a new garbage truck, and if what I'm hearing is that the new garbage truck is 400,000 and the purchase of carts and cetera would be 175 if we went that route. But at the RMs at the Evergreen, they are talking, they're worried about the tariffs and the impact of what the tariffs are gonna have on equipment. So by the time we get around to buying a garbage truck,
That'd be 600.
it could be 25%, or it could be, not saying it is, but it could be. Our reserve fund is at 200 and, equipment reserve 60,000.
264,000.
So in the next 5 years, we have heard that we need a gravel truck. We need a loader. And we probably need a grader, and I'm saying within 5 years. We only have $230,000 in equipment reserve. So I'm not sure where we could add a garbage truck to that. Unless we borrow money, and I don't know if there's a flavor to doing that, because we already talked about that with the loader, whether we're going to do that or not. So. I look at, yes, it's gonna cost us a bit more money, but maybe it's a headache that we get rid of. And we don't have to worry about it. It's a fixed cost, as Councillor Dowsett indicated. And the pickup is the same. 1 time per week, no change to there. They take the headache of any concerns, et cetera, from that. So to me, there is some merit to it. And if we had $1 million sitting in our equipment reserve, I would be having a different look at this. I would certainly be considering the garbage truck route. So that's my 2 bits.
Thank you, Greg.
Any other discussion?
Other than it's, yeah. I just,
I couldn't have said it better.
yeah, well, yeah. No, I bet you couldn't have. So have we decided what we're doing with our equipment reserve this year? Are we going after a loader? Are we borrowing money to do the loader anyways?
I think that's another subject.
I know it's another subject, but they're both related
That's
to a certain extent.
That's a Saturday.
That's probably, yeah.
I
that's
know,
Saturday.
but we're gonna vote on this tonight,
Yeah,
and then we're gonna have a different conversation, and one is tied to the other.
depending on which way it will go, it'll decide what equipment we're going to be looking at.
That's,
So this is strictly the contract, where we're going to make that commitment for a 5-year at an additional cost of somewhere over $100,000 on paper. May not be as much at the end of the day because of employees and stuff, but it is an extra cost of $100,000 per year for the next 5 years. So any further discussion? Going once? Going,
So, on the commercial end of that, you had spoken to negotiating sharing of band, so is it it's gonna be a fixed rate per customer, and then how they get their services up to negotiation, or?
The contractor, the company will deal with all the commercial businesses and have conversations with them on their garbage needs and how we are going to accommodate that. And whether multiple businesses can share a bin down a back lane, if they need more than one pickup, if you go that route,
so garbage
business
pickup for
just needs a-
businesses is left to the contractors and the businesses then.
The town is still paying the costs for the businesses, but the contractor will work with the businesses to figure out what their needs are. Some businesses might just need a residential cart rather than a big dumpster. I think it'll all have to be worked out with them.
But we are billing businesses and then.
Yes, there'll still be a garbage service fee, yes.
my last,
Oh,
if I may, Carberry had contract. They went to their own garbage truck and now they've gone back to contract again. Just because of the ongoing problems they were having with staffing and equipment. Elton has the same company that we're looking at. They're quite happy with them. They haven't had any issues. Neatwas seems to be quite happy with, they don't have the same company, but they have a different company, but they went to the contract for some of the same reasons that were discussed tonight. And this is all the information I found out at the Everett meeting, right? So, any further discussion? Do I need to reread the motion again, or are we all good?
Are you going to want to have it as a recorded vote?
If somebody would like that requested,
Not me, but. No, okay,
Yeah, record a vote or something, yeah.
you can.
Sure.
Okay, Frank would like to have a recorded vote. So just hold your hand up for a second so Danielle can make sure that she can get it. All right, so I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
To back to the original.
What?
You have to go back to the 048. And you have to reread it and then you have to put as amended.
Oh,
That's
okay.
added, so we're
Okay,
amended it with the next bylaw, so this bylaw will read as the amending bylaw.
so I reread this part.
Yes, now is this a recorded vote as well?
But isn't this exactly worded the same, that we just ordered?
No, this is the amended one. So this
Okay.
is the original one that was tabled last meeting. It's
Okay.
been put back on the table, but we had an amending resolution, so we have to read this resolution, and the last line will say as amended. Because you've just amended. it.
Okay, so the original motion resolution 2025-048, which was moved by Tom Dowson, and seconded by Robert Marks. Whereas the town currently collects and disposes of household solid waste throughout the town, and whereas the town had tendered for the same. Therefore, it resolved that the town award the household solid waste collection and disposal to MWM Environmental for a 5-year term as amended. And you have more discussions, or just are we,
No, because you did it on the
Vote.
amending
Okay.
resolution.
so I do have to have a mover to
You already did, so we just
Yeah.
need to do the
vote?
vote.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right. We're moving on to 10.4. And I want to thank everybody for that garbage.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one, but there was some good discussion, so thank you.
Yep.
Pretty good. Gonna get mover and a seconder. Counselor Dowsett, Counselor Landry. Resolution, whereas council had established a crow control program in 2007, policy 017 GEN. And whereas council believes that it is in the best interest and health of the public to continue with the same. Therefore, be it resolved that council authorize the CAO to continue the crow control program for 2024. Should I put that on
5, yeah,
2025?
still much.
And further, be it resolved that council authorize the program's volunteers to discharge firearms within the legal boundaries of the town of Minnedosa to control crows and magpies which may be deemed to be a nuisance and or a community health hazard. Discussion. Councilor Landry.
How many volunteers do we have that participate in this program?
There's 5, isn't it?
Five.
Yeah,
Just curious.
and then there's a couple of people that want to try it and know.
Yeah. That's.
Any further discussion?
Then Scott.
Councilor Marks?
Recorded vote.
Okay. Professor recorded vote. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Oh, you, hello. Yeah.
Opposed? Carried. We're on to 10.5. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Counselor Taylor, Counselor Dowsett. Be it resolved that pursuant to bylaw number 2494, tax sale manager of the town of Minnedosa Tax Service Inc. be appointed to manage property tax arrears recovery for the town of Minnedosa. Be it further resolved that pursuant to bylaw number 2494 of the town of Minnedosa, the following individuals be appointed tax sale managers for the town. Donna Zinke, Vice President of Tax Services Inc., or Tyler Burnside, Associate of Tax Service Inc. Discussion. Counselor Dowsett.
We haven't had this since 2008. Am I correct?
The bylaw was created then, but we've had tax service do our tax sale
We have.
process, yeah.
And is there a holding amount or is it just when they do a percentage?
They charge.
Retainers. or whatever.
There is no retainer, they charge an amount, we pay it, and then we put that back onto the residents' taxes,
And so it's a set amount
yes.
and
Well,
can we, I'm sorry.
As the process continues, the amounts get higher
Okay,
and more
that makes
frequent.
sense, yeah.
Yes,
So do we have any indication what those numbers are? Because I looked and I couldn't
yes.
give us there was no numbers.
I
So the
have-
recovery is from the taxes.
Yes, so the
Yeah,
town
yeah,
doesn't,
Okay.
the town doesn't pay anything for this, we get
Right.
an additional fee,
that would charge,
yeah, we charge the tax.
but we still haven't got that number.
No, I'll have to get, cause when the process starts, a certain amount we give, and there's some amount of time to pay, and if they don't pay, another notice goes out and the fee increases.
Oh, so
I'd
it's
have-
fluid kind of. Okay.
Yeah, as the process goes on, a property could incur over an additional $1,000 in fees for not paying taxes.
Good, thank you.
Counselor Marks.
Couple of points, January and February, there were checks written out for what, 4,000 and 3,500 the tax service. And then, it should also be stated that, it does go up, actually, you do go up for tax sale, and we have our certain bid, will be paying.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Sorry. No problem. Ten point six, can I get a mover and a seconder? Counselor Dosett? Counselor Taylor, thank you. Whereas the municipalities of Neepawa, Minnedosa, Carberry, Minto Dana, Elton, and North Cypress Langford are regional partners operating a Class 1 waste management facility known as Evergreen Environmental Technologies in Northeast 11-14-17 WMP. And whereas the main haul road for accessing Evergreen is PR number 466 south of PTH number 16, which is regularly impacted by truck and vehicular traffic that exceeds the intended general use of this road and creates safety issues due to its degradation and poor condition. And whereas PR number 466 is in dire need of capital upgrades and maintenance to ensure the continued use for the future. And now therefore be it resolved that the town of Minnedosa requests the province of Manitoba to take appropriate steps to repair and upgrade PR number 466 to a reasonable standard that will ensure the safe use of this road for the benefit of all users. So, discussion, Councilor Dowsett.
Is this any of the dust control, and has Evergreen ever decided to help the people that live on there with dust control?
That I cannot answer. This is a support resolution.
Right, but,
Councilor Taylor might have an answer to your question.
okay,
Yeah, there is dust control. The dust control is 100 feet or 50 feet on each side of your house.
right.
And that's where they dust.
Oh, so they
do.
Feet or
Yeah.
yards?
It's yards, maybe yards,
Yeah, I
whatever it
think-
is.
I
I
think
think it's
yards.
100 yards per household that they do.
That
And that's
would
the
be-
only one.
Thank you, Frank.
The other question I have about this is the fact is this something that's we put into Neepawa, Carberry, are they all gonna be done?
Yes.
Because the simple fact that we've been on this for absolutely 30 years now.
I can ask,
Ever since
this was
1970.
sent to me, which I forwarded on to Danielle through Evergreen. Evergreen's asking all the RMs to put the letter forward.
Because there's a bunch of stuff, all the soft spots need to be dug out.
Oh,
There's
right.
been
Yeah.
a number of requests put into the province and there's not been a thing done on it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Uh. 10.7. We're gonna have, is discussion first. So there is a discussion that was sent out about the April 12th gala for whether the town council would be interested in purchasing a table for the gala, which everybody probably knows about, recognizing within the community. It's the first year since pre-COVID that something similar has taken place. So I'll just open it up for discussion, and then if there is a interest that we should do this, then we will pass a resolution for it.
Have we sponsored the table before for the?
It used to be called Sportsman's Dinner.
Yeah, no,
I can't answer.
The town purchased the table.
the table and the hall.
Can't tell you about the hall, but I know they purchased the tables for sure. They used it and they would invite some people, like the mayor would be there and. There'd be
I wanna
guests.
say that council supported the sportsman dinner.
Yeah. Well, they definitely got a table,
Fashion,
because
yeah.
we were on the committee, I was on there for the meetings.
Any further discussion? What are your
What
thoughts?
was, how much was the cost?
500 for a table of 8.
Of bronze?
I don't even touch it. Councilor,
I guess there's two trains of thought here, especially given there was a discussion at general governance the other day in which that there is being a table that's being purchased by staff, I believe, from the town of Minnedosa to recognize volunteers and the work they do here in town. So if the staff are buying a table, why wouldn't council themselves, if staff are pulling it out of their own pockets, why is council not pulling it out of their own pockets? I do agree that there is a precedent set here, and we've always done this, and to me, if there wasn't a staff table bought, we probably would have done that, but because there has been a staff table bought, and to me, I'm not. I can't see how I can be in favor of us dipping in when we're asking our staff members to pay to go.
just for clarification, the bronze is $500.
Okay, thank you.
500.
And it should be represented by us, and we should be going anyway, so.
Yeah, I won't be here.
Unfortunately, I'm not here either,
Either, I won't be here.
but,
So
I do believe that we should have that, but.
I guess one of the questions I would ask of counselors around this table is who would be attending? I'm attending, but I'm bartending. Kim and I are bartending.
Well, maybe I do wanna go. Drunken bartender.
Cause if it did go to say, okay, let's sponsor a table for 500, then we have to have people sitting around the table.
Yeah, exactly, Grant, who's,
So who would be sitting around that table unless we maybe to other town staff to do it? In our place, so anyway, just a counselor does it.
I would be in favor of that, Grant, that we could have guests that would have the chair at the table.
Okay.
To me, that would be, because I know yourself and
I won't be in
and
town.
Frank and also myself won't be here that weekend, so it's it'd be nice to see the table, but it'd be also a good opportunity.
you just don't want to see the table empty.
That's what.
No, yeah, there's no sense in buying it if we're not gonna be using it. No. You have to use it too.
Right.
And if that's the case, then
We have citizens in town that we could afford to.
if we feel that way, should we not maybe be, if we're buying it, maybe we should be buying it for the staff.
Some of our board volunteers.
As a thank you.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
That's,
Are some of our board volunteers,
Yeah,
That's
which are,
that's.
it's celebrating them, right?
Yeah,
I have no problems with that.
no,
no,
Yeah, the guest,
I
the
can see
guest
that.
speaker always used to sit at the one at the table with the mayor and that, so.
Yeah, and the mayor should be going, if he's available to go, then
He
him
is,
and the guest speaker.
him
Or
and his
if
wife
there
are
is-
selling 50-50 at the door and walking around, so they won't be necessarily sitting at the table either.
But yeah, but yes, I do believe volunteers within the,
I'm good with that myself, so.
yeah, I am also.
And is, for clarification for administration, is this something council's paying for out of council expenses?
Sure. Yes, it can still come out of
And
there.
then, or council's paying for it out of their own pockets to give to the volunteers?
other pocket.
I just-
no,
Cause if it's, council's just gonna do it on their own, then we don't need a resolution, council can just go ahead and do
Yeah.
that, but if you want it to come out of council expenses. Then I need a resolution and I'll go ahead and book the table and work with council to get the table filled.
I believe it can come out of council expenses and it can go to board members within the community that are. I don't know how we decide who it is, but administration or. That could figure that part of it out, or we could put forth names if that's required, yeah.
Okay, anybody else? I'm okay with it coming out of council expenses.
Yeah.
You can, I'll put it on that resolution. You can go ahead and-
Refresh it.
I like that idea better.
Meeting.
It's going to, board members within, you sit on boards.
Yeah.
Recommend somebody that you feel that is above and beyond, that's a volunteer board member. Yeah, as opposed to, yeah.
Oh, Councilor, sorry.
Just curious on when we're saying we're taking it out of council expenses, what do we typically have budgeted for council expenses per year?
I have to put financial plan, but council doesn't usually reach their council expenses
We never have.
every year because not everybody goes to AMM as planned and.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
So, okay, give me a second, I'm changing it.
Okay.
I'm just changing the resolution to read that it comes from council expenses like it did, but should be given to committee and board members.
Okay, I will need a mover and a seconder. Councilor Blaze, Councilor Dowsett. And let me get back onto this again, if it's refreshed. Whereas the Minnedosa Community Development Corporation Tourism would be hosting a community dinner and evening dedicated to celebrating the individuals, businesses, and organizations of our community that make our town a better place. Therefore, be it resolved that council purchase a bronze sponsorship table in support of the events with costs to be paid from council expenses to be given to community and board members. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We are on to 10.8. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Taylor, Councilor Landry. That the letter requesting permission to repaint the Main Street crosswalk at the Cenotaph in Legion colors and insignia be approved. Discussion? Councilor Dustin, sorry.
I have no problem with this, and they're also looking at the second location. And I would encourage that also.
The what, Tom?
Second location. Down by the,
Body council.
Yeah.
Crosswalk to the school.
and to have that message to the, school age children is awesome.
Yeah, what,
So I would, really encourage that.
have they got colors picked out for that? Is it
Red and white.
Yeah.
red, or is it red and white?
You can edit
Mark?
it.
Yeah, it was the only thing that do we ask that, there's an obligation that they maintain it if they do it?
They said in their letter they would.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Councilor Taylor?
The one on Main Street, the highways department does that, but the one over here, the town hires that out to do, or they do it themselves, so I don't know what, would the highways department, because it's a highways road, provincial road, would we have to put a request in and put those colors on, or is that?
I'm sure that the administration will
like,
make sure that there are
Do they do those?
I's and dotted,
Yeah.
T's and crossed.
Across Maine are the ones that are parallel to Maine.
The ones that are across me.
Well, which ones are they talking about? Are they talking?
That are cap.
Yeah,
To be-
right over by the thing.
The.
Goes across from the
There's one
church
goes this
to.
way.
Uh,
Off the Main Street.
Yeah,
So the ones that are parallel to Maine.
Yeah.
So it basically from the church to the cenotaph and the cenotaph to
To H&R Block.
flower shop or.
So, and that's the
Yeah.
town's property,
that's
not
town.
the,
on the highway?
no, it's not on the highway.
Oh, it's not the crosswalk and highway, okay, so it's going the other way.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
good,
the
yeah.
north-south.
Okay, thank you.
It's our property.
Town north south, yeah, good.
So any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're moving on to financial matters. Can I get a mover and a seconder for 11.1? Councillor Landry. Okay, Councillor Dowsett. Be it resolved that the January and February 2025 bank reconciliation statements for the town of Minnedosa be approved as presented. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. 11, where am I? Accounts, 11.2, general operating, okay. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Dowsett, Councillor Taylor. Be it resolved that general accounts for the month of January 2025 in the amount of $345,102.31, including check numbers 5174 to 5258 and $95,230.50 payroll be approved. And further, be it resolved that general accounts for the month of February 2025 in the amount of $370,642.41, including checks numbers 5259, 5332, and $64,184 payroll be approved. Discussion.
Can you repeat that?
No.
You beat me to it, you fucker.
Sorry.
But good on you.
For any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. So we're into utility operating 11.2.2. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Dowsett, Councillor Marks. Be it resolved that utility accounts for the month of January 2025 in the amount of $139,942.98, including check numbers 1677 to 1722 and $13,472.99 utility payroll be approved. Further, be it resolved that utility accounts for the month of February 2025 in the amount of $94,470.25, including check numbers 1723 to 1755 and $9,324.33 utility payroll be approved. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Eleven three or 11.3. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Taylor, Councillor Dowsett. That the Parks Board bank reconciliations for the month of January and February 2025 be approved as presented. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We are on to reports. There is no mayor's report. Mine is posted there. So we had on March the 14th, we had a very good meeting with the minister. She's actually of immigration regarding the nurses. So the province is supposedly going to be announcing 2 streams to try and encourage new to Canada nurses and doctors to get certified in Manitoba, and she's making changes to the qualifications in Manitoba because they're very restrictive. She's indicated that nurses are coming here and writing an exam 90% failure rate. And then if they fail that exam, then they got to start 4 years over again. So she's making changes to it. She is actually indicated that she is kind of working with the College of Nurses and convincing that they need to make changes. She fired her deputy minister from the College of Nurses because they would not make any changes. So she's doing 2 streams. The first one is identifying possible nurses that are new to Canada that could take this test and get their certification come in. NEPA is a couple steps ahead of us. They've already looked at how many qualified nurses they have from out of country, and they're at 40. So we've had a joint meeting to surrounding RMs, and we're going to be looking at the same process. And the second step is that they're looking at creating a position in the healthcare system, which is a clinical assistant, which is basically somebody that has a doctorate degree, but can't practice here, and they would shadow or follow along with the doctor, and they're gonna, so, there is a wage for that. Province might pay for some of it or whatever, but it's working with Prairie Mountain Health to establish that position and get doctors to willing to take on somebody in this position, and then eventually they would move into the role of a doctor. So, I don't think it's been officially announced yet, maybe, but I guess it has now been re-recorded. So anyway. Evergreen Technology Meeting on March the 17th. I already stated, most of everything there. Other stuff is just, information. We did have another meeting on March the 20th, again with the Harrison Park Rolling River First Nations were at the table. RM of Minto, Adana, RM of Oakview, and Prairie Mountain Health was invited, but did not show. So now we've asked administration to set up another meeting with Prairie Mountain Health, but maybe we will go to Brandon and sit down with them and talk to them about nurses and doctors and recruitment, etc. And on March 20th, I also attended the Social Media Emergency Management Workshop held in Verdon. Just some key points there. The main part from that it struck me, and I did ask the question, and whether it's needed or not, was that when there's an emergency happening, he's indicated that we should have 1, 2, or 3 people that monitor social media feeds and are continually updating with accurate information. That's quite an undertaking. If we
Monitoring which feeds?
social
All
media
Facebook, etc.
There's feeds.
feeds,
Streams.
streams, social media streams.
Oh, streams.
So like what's happening in Minnedosa, what's happening in Minnedosa 2.0, and they actually put the accurate information out there. I'm not sure. It brought up about 2 or 3 times at this, that we should be doing that. So I have given Danielle the copy of what was presented there, if anybody wants to take a look at it. It was actually quite good. It was a full day event, looking at the media, dealing with the media. And one thing that stuck out was, as us counselors, and we probably in the flood of 2022, some of us may have been approached by media. And he's not saying you shouldn't talk to them, and you shouldn't say no comment. You should talk to them and just tell them exactly what you know. Don't fabricate anything, but you can talk to them, and you can also redirect them to who they should be talking to get more accurate information. But if you say no comment, then the feeling is you're hiding something. So anyways, Councillor
Well, I
Taylor.
was just like this, you're talking about this media thing you're talking about, Facebook and stuff. How would you control that? Like, what was their answer to that?
Not controlled.
You don't control it. Everybody, the media person would be part of, let's use example,
Okay,
Minnesota,
so
what's
they would
happening
be
in
the
Minnesota.
one putting the stuff onto Facebook.
When if somebody puts
President-
something out there that's
Yeah.
not accurate,
That's
then
badly
they,
fabricated. So that's why I was wondering, because that's, we talked about.
yeah,
But when we had our discussions after, like,
yeah,
how all this stuff got carried away and stuff
Right.
like that, and what can you do about it? And it was just discussed, and after that, was never done about it.
The other point that they did, I think we did this on the second emergency had a flooding event, is that you have set times. You should have an update in first thing in the morning. You'd have something at lunch, because that's when people are sitting down, and you should have something at supper, and then you have something evening, and you indicate that there will be no updates until the following morning. Because then people will start going at those times, as opposed to feeding off of social media streams that are inaccurate information. But anyways, it was a good day. I actually got quite a bit out of it. So if anybody wants to see what their slide presentation is, it's in the office. So that's it. That's my questions. Councillor Taylor, do you have anything?
No.
Councillor Marks?
No.
Okay. Councillor Glaze?
I had Heritage meeting on March 19th, just a couple things that was there. There was a tourism report that came to us in regards to the teepee. It's to be put up, the site is to be determined, but there will be, it'll be helped to be put up by the town. There will also be an elder there to help with proper build. in regards to, I guess, where the door faces, things like that.
Jason said.
April 12th, Minnedosa Community Development came up. We're gonna be having pamphlets, probably printing out 250. We're looking at trying to get the slab built for the general store, which would go in between the barn and the rectangle, or the, sorry, octagon building. And we're looking at getting those Christmas lights removed. And 2024 interest rates on the accounts collected a total of $2,400.
Questions for Counselor Blaze? Counselor Dowsett?
We were at EcoQuest. It was a very interesting, I think Mark and myself got a lot out of it. And being in Manitoba, with the fact that now the fall is later and the spring is earlier. So the winter roads are going to be really affected. And also not only the province made a great presentation about the prospect of we're probably going to go in this part of the province into droughts. And we have to start forward thinking on being prepared. But I'm sure you've all taken that, and that's happened. So it was a very good day. And thank you.
Okay, any questions for Counselor Dowsett? Counselor Landry? All right,
Well, and we had a nice soup. Eh?
do you have anything that? Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rich, you can go ahead.
All right, so we're going to,
I would have said I didn't have to see.
Was there anything that you wanted to say
Oh,
about
whatever.
the Tompkins, water plant?
I haven't received a written report yet because we're dealing with the PLC getting installed. So that was a busy day. It arrived today, so
Oh.
yeah, there's lots going on right now, but the individual that has been contacted to help us fix the said problem is supposed to be on site tomorrow to come and take a look.
okay, we're gonna move to in camera then, unless, can I get a mover and a seconder? Counselor Dowsett, Counselor Blaze. Be it resolved that this regular meeting now adjourns to an in-camera meeting to discuss matters in the preliminary stages as per subsection 152(3)(b) of the Manitoba Act, and all matters discussed in camera are confidential and until disclosed in an open meeting as per section 83(1)(b) of the Municipal Act. And the time is 6:32. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Take a couple minute break. Daniel has to get something.
You're going to EMM?
So we have one final resolution.
Not
Can I get a
the only-
mover and a seconder, please? Counselor Dowsett, Counselor Blaze. This is that the offer from Doug Wilson and Deanna Dupuy to purchase roll 90400 for $1 with the purchaser covering all legal costs be approved. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And we have the final one.
You know, another.
I don't think so, do I? Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Counselor
Mine
Dowsett,
does.
Counselor Taylor. Be it resolved that the meeting be adjourned at 6:44 PM and to meet again on April the 8th, 2025. All those in favor? Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Good job, my team.
Oh,